Welcome into the Talking Town squad audit. What's strong, what's fragile, and what will cost us if we don't improve it in this window? We're not throwing out transfer rumours, but we are discussing realistic signings, risky signings, and of course, some dream signings as well. It's the Talking Town squad audit, and I'm asking you the big question, the golden question. Will Town miss up on an opportunity to get back to the Premier League if they don't sign a striker in this window? Get active in our live chat. Click the link and come on the show and have your say if you want to. But whatever you do, enjoy it. It's live and it's right now. Hello again, friends, and you are my friends, and welcome to a transfer audit special. And I'm joined, as the show intro tells you, by two wonderful people. But we need you at home to get active as well. Let us know as we go your opinions, your thoughts, and of course you can, if you'd like to, come on the show and have your say. Kicking us off early is Mike Baker saying we desperately, I'm going to put that extra desperately in for Mike, need that finisher. The Johnny on the spot, the Fox in the box, goals win games. We currently need 5 chances to score 1 goal. A striker has to be a top priority. And as Mark, one of our YouTube members, we need a striker, but not easy to come by. Also need to rebalance some positions where you have a lot of options, namely right back. And of course, we're going to go through the squad a little bit. And I imagine Matt and George, I don't know for sure, may mention a couple of players they may want to see depart the squad, or players they might want to come into the squad. As we sort of go through, I imagine the type of conversations McKenna, Ashton, the recruitment team have had behind closed doors leading up to a window. I doubt they go into it completely blind and not knowing which direction they're going to go in. So we're going to try and just do a little bit of it ourselves. But before we do, the footballing world, the managerial carousel, it spins, and it spins very quickly because there's 2 openings today alone. And of course, Kieran McKenna has to be linked, mentioned, rumoured, social media'd with every single managerial job going. I'll start with the big one in England, which of course is Manchester United. Fresh off the press, I think Goldbridge was live this morning when the news broke. George, I'll start with you on that one. How seriously should Town fans be concerned, look into this, be worried, whatever it might be, in terms of any potential McKenna, Man United, past connections, and there now being a managerial vacancy?
I don't think we need to be too worried about anyone particularly at the moment. I don't think it'll be United if anybody comes knocking for him. Sounds like, I've had a little look, it sounds like they've got other targets, potentially fewer than Celtic in front of him, but I think chances are slim. Not sure why.
But were you surprised at the departure of Amarin?
Nothing surprises me with managers these days.
No, it shouldn't do in football. And of course, into Scotland, Matt, 8 games, 33 days. But Wilfred Nancy has lost his position at Celtic, a position that McKenna was recently, heavily linked with, albeit, nothing official. I don't think was ever sort of spoken about in terms of it being an official speculation link, whatever. How, again, same question. How concerned should Town fans be in regards to now Celtic needing a new manager, their fourth manager of the season, right?
Yeah, well, as Rob Holmes rightly says, O'Neill's gone back to Celtic tonight for the rest of the season. So, I mean, it worked out right for him, didn't he, as the caretaker boss earlier? Why
did they let him go? Like, why did they decide to move off that in the first place?
Exactly that. Probably what you're going to see with both Manchester United and Celtic, I think, is have interim appointments right through till the end of the World Cup, and then kind of cherry pick some of the bigger names who might be available after that. You always got to think, really, with Celtic, they might go back to someone who, they've done exactly that. They've done it with Martin O'Neill, got him in. Postecoglou could have been an option. Robbie Keane's been linked. He manages Ferencváros in Hungary. Craig Bellaby, if Wales weren't to get to the World Cup. So I think they might go for someone like that. But I mean, McKenna could be in that list. If Town weren't to get back into the Premier League. But then would his stock have fallen? Because we haven't got back into the Premier League, haven't got back into the top flight. I don't know. It feels to me like they might go with someone who's been there before, worn the shirt.
I guess it depends on how you don't end up being promoted, right? If you end up not being promoted via a playoff final defeat and you've really pushed the top 2 all the way to the end, perhaps that's a little bit better than just finishing 5th, first round knockout in the playoffs, or finishing 7th, or whatever the case may be. But yeah, that's how fast the managerial carousel spins. When I put that together, it was just it was an open vacancy. Now you're telling Martin O'Neill's back in the hot seat until the end of the season. That's how fast it spins in the footballing world, right? It just doesn't stop.
That Wilfred Nonsi was a weird appointment to begin with, I think. I mean, his whole career has been managerial career. He's been in the MLS, I think. Montreal, Columbus Crew. You know, it just seemed a weird one. Now they haven't given him an opportunity, so I think it's weird.
I feel for him. He's barely got time, to do anything at a football club in 33 days. I detest, those type of appointments where you go in and in 33 days later or 8 days later or however long it may be, you're lost, because I feel so sorry for them. For the
Watford model.
No, not even Watford. At least Watford give them 3-4 months. I mean, they give them to get their feet under the desk, George, and let them try and put a little bit of something together. And of course, with the Watford model, George, you're always assured that they'll come back to you at some point. It will spin back round to you.
Right? Because they run out of other people. Yeah,
exactly.
I don't understand how clubs. I mean, I don't understand how they get away with it, to be honest with you. But it's a bonkers model. It makes no sense to me whatsoever. So.
And before we move on, we will. And I just think these type of appointments sort of lend themselves to the often spoken about cycle or windows. You've got transfer window, a managerial coaching departure window where clubs can't make moves unless it's in a certain time frame or after a certain time frame. I think these type of things always lend themselves to that conversation as examples of, it's just sort of, it can come across reactionary almost. I'm not a Celtic fan. It's been a really poor start for Celtic. Make no mistake about it, but 33 days to me on the outside looking in always feels a little bit like, what was the plan coming in? What did you expect him to do, etc., etc. But anyway, we'll move it on.
What did they promise him as well? Like,
this is it.
What was it was a bit like the Manning conversation and what's his name before that at Norwich. What was actually expected of him before he got fired? Like,
to win the League Cup, which they lost to St Mirren, I think.
They did.
They won his first game or something. So it was a bad start.
That always felt like a really harsh start as well. Like, because if you don't win it, it's a really bad way to get off. It's not like it's a random Tuesday night away at whoever, where you can put it down to whatever number of different things. It's a cup final, and the previous manager's got you there, or the caretaker's got you there, and it's like, okay, now you finish the job. And if you don't finish the job, you're the one that looks silly.
Like you say, within a month, they've gone back to the same guy again.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right, we'll move on to Town Matters. Don't forget we are partnered with Match Bingo, Stowmarket Osteopaths. More of those or more about those as we go through the course of the show. And if you like Town news, views, fan opinion, match reactions, and more, hit that subscribe button and join Talking Town. And I'd love some feedback from our members who have just recently had some videos drop in their membership portal. I'll call it a portal. It's not a portal, but I'll call it a portal anyway because the word that came to mind. One of which being Lambert's Tactics Truck. I want feedback on that particularly. Me and my trusty little pen here, making circles and doing all sorts of diagrams. It's great fun. I thoroughly enjoy it anyway. But anyway, move on to hot takes. That's right. The big question as things stand. So I've got a couple of things. I'm going to throw it out there. I want answers in 60 seconds or less. I'll start with yourself, Matt, as I started with George with the managerial carousel. I'm going to put this one to you, right? If Ipswich signed no one, where would we finish?
Oh, it's a tricky one, that, isn't it? Because no one's scored more goals than us other than Coventry, and no one's conceded less than us other than Stoke. So at both ends of the pitch, we're not doing too badly. But would this squad we've got at the moment be enough to get us over the line? Well, it's got us to second, albeit we've dropped down to third, haven't we? Because we obviously didn't play the game against Portsmouth yesterday, and Borough got that huge win against Southampton 4-0. Well, it'd certainly get us top three. Whether or not it's going to get us the automatic spots, I'm not sure. But, you can't go too far wrong, can you? If there's only two sides beating you in scoring and conceding. So we probably should give them more credit than what we've been doing, I think, maybe.
So if we're going to finish third inside the playoffs, would you then tip us to go on and win those playoffs? If Town signed nobody, if the squad remained as it was until the 1st of February, would you then tip Town to go and win promotion?
Yeah, a couple of Philogene Worldies. That'll do the
what we've got.
Icing on the cake at Wembley. Screamer from 30 yards. Picture it now, George, can't you?
Sounds good to me.
It's hard not to.
It's all we've got at the moment. But okay, so on that basis, George, if you go with Matt's line of thinking there, town sign nobody, is this window as essential as in terms of targets and placement, or do you agree with Matt? I'll just put it like that. Do you agree with Matt? If town sign nobody, would they finish third inside the playoffs? Would they go and win it, etc.?
I think it's hard to argue that it's a serious possibility, but I think with this squad, we're a couple of injuries in key positions away from it getting a lot harder, a lot faster. But I'm not sure that signings are necessarily the only thing that's an issue for us at the moment. If there are issues for us, like we're second, that's like the last time I was on, it's hard to like, I don't know what it is that's feels not quite right, but there is something that doesn't quite feel right in terms of us firing on all cylinders, and I'm not sure that that's necessarily just signings and not slightly to do with how we're approaching games as well. But yeah, like I think it's certainly possible that we could come out of this month without signing anyone and still expect to be in the top three, but I'm not expecting to get through this month without signing anyone. So
no, that wasn't the question. Higgy says you're all kidding yourselves. A striker known to be better than Akpom and Hurst will not be available in January, and B will not be interested in us because he will be snapped up by a Premier League club. Andy Cotton, to be honest, we've considered the least goals versus goals, so goes 4. So we must be doing something right. This league isn't easy. Unfortunately, people are expecting us to completely dominate it. In that case, I mean, if you're both tipping the side unchanged or squad unchanged as it was, I'm going to put this to you then, George. Is the striking department actually better than a lot of town fans give it credit for? If they're going to finish inside the top 3 in both of your worlds, if they didn't sign anybody?
I think the striking department has more potential than we've seen. That's my diplomatic answer to that. I think.
In what way? Who's got more potential, or how's he got more potential? So unpack it a little bit for us.
Hatfuls of goals between them. We've got, like, if we're counting the potential for Akpom and or Schmodix, I know he plays in the 10, but I'm sure he can play through the middle too. Hurst, we know, can score goals, and Azon, as I've said before, looks like he's got something about him. I know he's super young, so I kind of put him in the Eggerly basket, if you like, but. He looks like, you know, he could very well score a few goals as well, and it just looks like they're not, for whatever reason, we're not hitting our straps from a goal scoring perspective, from a forwards, apart from Philogene. And
okay, yeah, no, all right, there we go. Nice, easy, big questions just to get the juices flowing. We'll fly straight into the audit then. Goalkeepers, I expect this to be very quick. We've got 3 goalkeepers: Button, Palmer, and Walton. And they are in that order. Christian Walton is your current number 1. Matt, I'm going to ask you quite simply, are you looking to upgrade that position? Are you happy with that position? What's your thoughts on the goalkeepers?
Yeah, I think we have to be happy with that position at the moment. I mean, Walton came in when Palmer got injured against Charlton. He's done pretty well, I think. I mean, he's made 2 great saves, hasn't he? 2 season-defining saves. One at Swansea when we was 2-1 up, I think, at that point. And then maybe 0-0 against Coventry. Palms that ball onto the post at Pullman Road. So I think he's done really well. I've not always been Walton's biggest fan. I used to call him 2-touch, didn't I? But we don't seem to see that so often anymore. Certainly back from the League One days. So I think he's done really well. I mean, if you come into our Discord, and Martin, I know you're always on this one, there's a school of thought that Muric would come back. But I think they'll cash their chips in on Muric. They'll cash their chips on Muric because they know they can get their money back from Sassuolo should they stay in the Italian division. So that's probably what will happen. And we'll probably move forward with Walton and Palmer.
My only disappointment with the goalkeepers, Matt, is that you haven't really improved it for the money that you spent in that department. You know, you've just mentioned, obviously, the big acquisition in that department, Muric. He was where the majority of the money was spent. But you did sign Palmer in January. But here we are finding ourselves back to a goalkeeper that's been here all along. And there's a little bit of disappointment in my book, just that we've not improved it tremendously, that Palmer can't just walk back into the team, that he's on that level field, if you like, with Walton.
Yeah, agreed. And you could argue that neither are actually good enough for the Premier League should we go back up next season, and therefore we'll be looking at another keeper. Maybe you look at Rushworth, who's at Coventry at the moment. Everyone seems to think he's the best. I think he's on loan from Brighton, isn't he?
Yeah. I'm not sure he's better either.
I mean, we've been linked with him previously. It's a school. I thought we should have kept Taladke, who's warming the bench at Burnley. But that'd be a conundrum for the summer. Should we get promoted? Because well, we started the season with Walton George, didn't we, against Liverpool? And he ended it against West Ham, and Palmer got a look in, and Muric had a run of games right through, didn't he, until February time, and they finally cut ties with him. Yeah. Problem area, we was in the Premier League last season. It could well be if we were to get promoted again.
Absolutely. And as the old saying goes, a good goalkeeper wins you 12 points a season. And in the Premier League, if you ever get back there, that's obviously going to be massive. And of course, what's in front of him also helps tremendously. On to our defenders, George. You've got Cedric Kipre, who's arrived on loan in the summer. Mm-hmm. He's a big part of that back line and very similar to the goalkeeping situation for me. I'm a little bit disappointed in the sense of that, you spent big money. I know it's not big money in modern football on Jacob Greaves, and there's that level playing field in the sense of Jacob Greaves for the valuation isn't right now seen as better or by many fans, as well as the obviously current man selecting the side. But where are you on our defenders? You happy with that back four? There's a number of right backs. Anybody looking to leave as opposed to coming in, or are you looking to sort of do a balance there? What's going on?
I think we've got a couple of right backs who could potentially move on, be it on loan or permanently. I don't think anybody's going to argue too much with that, where we have Young, worst case, as covering there too. I think left backs are tricky, or left back and left centre backs tricky for me. Jacob Greaves can obviously play left centre back well on his day, very well on his day. He looked really good. I thought he made the defensive unit look really good against Coventry, and could have felt unlucky to not keep his place at the weekend. And I think he is obviously good left back cover with Townsend out for as long as he is, but we're an injury away from being really short across those two positions. So it would surprise me if we don't have half an eye on a left-sided defender to at least cover one of those positions. Yeah, especially if we're going to let Baggett go out. I don't think we can afford to let Baggett go out at the moment necessarily.
You do leave yourself short, don't you? If you allow Baggett to leave the football club on loan, you've got Greaves as that left back and centre back cover. You've only got 3 centre halves for two left backs. Greaves being, Mike D calls him in our Discord now, Jacob Ariderson, because he performance like Herman Ariderson down that left side against Coventry. And the issue is, I like Greaves as a player. I've often gone on record to say I really like Greaves as a player. My issue is his best performances, arguably at Town, have come at left back when he was signed as a centre back. And I would just like for that investment. Obviously, for me, I'd like him to be head and shoulders above Cedric Kipre, to the point where you're saying Kipre's that cover. The fact that Kipre's come in, made that shirt his own. It's just a little bit of personal disappointment that, because I like Greaves and I want Greaves to obviously go on and do really well. But his best performances, George, have come at left back. You have to argue. Yeah,
I think he's looked great. The times that we've seen him there, particularly as we said about against Coventry, and I'm happy with Greaves. Very happy with Greaves being cover for left back and left centre back, like I say. But as things stand, but you can't do both at once, which is my concern. And when it starts getting down to either really, but left back cover particularly at the moment, we start to look a little thin.
We do, however, we have got a number of fullbacks, Matt. We've got Ben Johnson, Ashley Young, Harry Clark. I might be here a while. Darnell Furlong. I feel like I'm missing one. but I can't think of it right now off the top of my head. But there's 4 in Johnson, Young, Clark, and Furlong. If I'm missing one,
Townsend's the other one, isn't he? But obviously injured.
But you've got 4 right backs. 1 or 2 could potentially play left back. Ben Johnson's not really getting much of a look in at the moment. So in terms of departures, taking on that squad balance, bringing players in other areas mean you have to free up slots elsewhere. Who's departing? Which is your chosen 2 or 3?
I don't think anyone's departing from that list because they give you the utility option. Young and Johnson can both play right back or left back and have done this season. So I think they would probably stay. I mean, they're sticking plasters. So I get what George is saying there, and I agree to some point. I think probably Leaf and Jacob Greaves will be your left back options. And then if there is an issue there, you do pick up an injury or knock, or they're going to miss a couple of weeks or something, and you've got Johnson and Young there. I mean, we were saying, weren't we, like, who might some of the underrated defenders be? I would say Ashley Young's ticking that box. Everyone's kind of forgotten about Ashley Young now. You know, Euro 2012, World Cup 2018, won the Premier League of Man United, won Scudetto of Inter Milan, 39 England caps. He just nonchalantly comes on from the bench. It's because he's only done 2 appearances, 90 minutes, which was Charlton and Preston, I think. And the rest have been from the bench. But when we talk about squad depth and, area impact from the bench, opposition would love someone ticking all the boxes that Ashley Young's got to come on and shore up the defence for 15, 20 minutes when you're 2-0 up or something. So certainly he's. Oh, you might agree with this, George. I would say Ashley Young was brought in to replace the Morsey experience, that kind of the experience, the leader role, really. We've said on some shows, haven't we? You're not really getting out in the middle of the park. I think probably Ashley Young brings that in the dressing room if he's not playing. But they're the options, I think, for you if you were to pick up injuries. Johnson and Young, either side.
But surely Ben Johnson, George, he can't. He can't be happy, in terms of not playing, and he's got good ability. Is that one you potentially see going out? Or Harry Clark, who's been linked with a return back to the Blade, Sheffield United, is that another one? Like, I know what Matt's saying, but I feel like there's the numbers game starts to add up, and if you've got 4 right backs, essentially 3 right backs, you've only played 1.
Yeah, either or both. I wouldn't be at all surprised if they leave in January. To be honest with you, I get keeping them around, but it's a lot to keep in the squad if they're going to stay in the squad, and they've all got to be in the squad if they want to play. So, and none of them are going to want to not be in the squad. So, it wouldn't surprise me at all if either or both are pushing for a move.
Which is a shame.
Or sub. Yeah, I think it's a shame for both. I think it's a shame from Johnson's perspective because he probably hasn't played as much or fitted in as well as anybody hoped he might, and I think it's a shame from Clark's perspective just because he's another one of the Ipswich boys that really made an impact, and with Wolfenden was kind of the face of our promotion years, wasn't he? So yeah, real shame, but I think it's going to come down to if he wants to play football.
The thing is, I perhaps naively, I thought this might be Ben Johnson's year to really make that right back position his own. I thought coming down from the Premier League, I thought every time I've seen him, he's looked fairly decent. Remember Fulham away, still remember that cross into the box for the equaliser where he goes on to hit the bar. I think it is from that opportunity. He looked good when he came on in the cup. Several times. And I just thought, coming down a division, this might be his opportunity to play regular minutes as a young player and really develop and make that right back spot his own before returning back to the Premier League. You hope with us, of course, and being that attacking right-sided player that we've kind of not really had. And in Harry Clark's instance, we've kind of seen what he looks like in the Premier League, albeit in limited numbers or fashion. His Brentford away sort of jumps out to most Town fans. Wasn't the greatest moment. We can debate until the cows come home whether it should have been or shouldn't have been a red card or whatever. But we are where we are. I just feel like we've got a little bit of an imbalance there with Furlong, who came in the summer, Johnson, Young, and Clark.
Johnson doesn't really do anything spectacularly well in a lot of areas, though, does he? He's a steady Eddie, safe pair of hands. I think that's probably the issue, really. So then, therefore he doesn't sort of stick out as sort of a selling option. Oh, well, he's really good at getting forward, for example. He's got a set piece for it or something. Doesn't really have any of those. I think he's just probably a functional defender. Upon Harry Clark's injury record kind of follows him around. I mean, Sheffield United took him on loan once already, didn't they? Around this time, and he got injured. Yeah, so clubs will look at that and think, well, what's the point? We need someone who's got maybe a better fitness record in order to be able to play the back end of the season with us.
Your best ability is, of course, availability. As I always said, have said since we started the platform, nearly 6 years ago now. And I just think with Ben Johnson, because he's come in, you don't quite look at it the same way. But I view it a little bit like Cam Humphreys, who we'll come on to in a second, I'm sure, in the midfield department, Elkan Baggott and other young players. He's still a young player. So if we are going to be seeing a departure, I would be around the table if this was the Ipswich recruitment team. I'd be banging the table for a loan departure as opposed to a more permanent one. Get him out on loan, get him playing minutes, see what that development can do for him and the player we identified only 18 months ago plus. Just see what you've got. Don't sort of say it's not worked here at Town, let's move him on for whatever reason. He's still a young player, and in a moment we're going to move on to our midfield players, and I'm sure one of you is going to tell me, Cam Humphreys, get him out on loan, get him playing minutes, and see what we can get in terms of development out of him. Matthew, aren't you?
I am a Cam Humphreys fan. I really do like him, but I do wonder.
Future Town captain, you said.
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
you did.
Very obviously very sensible kid. Got a brain between his ears. It comes across like Matt Holland speaks really maturely for someone so young. Great. It's what you want to see from your youngsters coming through the academy. But when I said that, no one kind of envisaged Ipswich going on this journey from League One to the Premier League and then obviously back into the Championship, but obviously with money to spend, and he gets lost in the mix. I would probably sell him actually, because I think he's just going to be treading water at Town, because he'll be forever in that loop of being third, fourth, fifth choice. Especially when you go back up to the Premier League, where you're going to be looking at what did us in last season, physicality. So you'd be looking at sort of like, I don't know, more Kipre style players maybe in the centre of the park than a Cam Humphreys, who's got all the technical ability and played number 10 for Wickham. The ideal world for him really is probably to go back to Wickham, where he absolutely loves. But whether or not they could raise the dough needed, whether they could raise the dough needed to sign him, I don't know. But I just feel like he's treading water at Town now, sadly, just because of how successful we've been. And he needs to go off and develop somewhere. And I don't keep seeing the idea of going out on loan. It seems pointless to me. Go and settle some roots somewhere and, have a permanent move.
You see, I think it's a little bit too early to, once again, like Ben Johnson, I'd be banging the table to say it's been a bit too early to say permanent. I'd still like to see another 12 months, so back end of this season, perhaps another year's long loan elsewhere for him in terms of Cam Humphreys. And Wickham have been linked. I think I read on Those Were the Days this morning. I think it's Scott Mitchell, the name, if I remember it correctly, is their recruitment. He obviously he brought him to the club, or is it Oxford? That might be Oxford, actually. He maybe now moved to Oxford. So Oxford potentially could be in the mix, which of course would be a Championship side, George. If it was to be a loan back end of this season, which is the more imperative. And I take Matt's point about, financial muscle, etc., but I'd be willing to take the hit on this and just say, we'll cover all the loans, we'll cover all the fees, whatever it may be, to get this deal over the line. But which is the better of the two? A loan spell, League One, week in, week out, having fun, playing almost a little bit above himself. We saw last year how much he really enjoyed League One and came on. Mm-hmm. Or would it be more beneficial to go to a Championship side where you've got to really battle for that spot, but you've got to sort of, really pull your socks up in the sense of this is probably your level, if not a level you're hoping to aspire to, and that may increase that development curve quicker. Which would be the better one of the two? Regular performances and happy and playing really well, or more of a battle, or more of a challenge?
Yeah, I mean, if we could send him out to the Championship, then and it was just a loan, then I'd be all for it, because I don't think he's going to get the chance, or enough of a chance, in our Championship squad. I wouldn't necessarily want to sell him at this point, because I think that, as with you were saying with Johnson, although I'd be more inclined to let him go, I think, but we don't know where we're going to be next season still, and I think whether it's whether he fits into a Premier League team at the moment, and whether it's just another knockdown for him in terms of his likelihood of playing. Whereas if we have another season in the Championship, it may very well be, if Kiyusta goes back, then he gets nudged up the ladder. Who knows? And I think there's enough about him. I think it would be a real shame if he left. On the flip side of that, I think if as a very sensible young man who's very serious about his football and clearly very talented at football, if he came to me as McKenna or Mark Ashton and said that I really want to go and play and put some roots down somewhere and start my career properly, then I wouldn't stand in his way. But I think it would be a real shame. I agree completely. I think he's been a victim of our success. One of few, but I think he's been a real victim of our success, which is a shame. But
that's also a benefit as a fan, because obviously the success is what we all desperately crave and desire. What I'm going to do now, the rest of the midfield, is sort of break it into two departments: attacking midfield players and those that aren't attacking players. And I'm going to sort of give you the attacking players, George, because every time Matt mentions the word Connor Chaplin, he's put a pound into the Talking Town Contributors Night Out Fund. It's already at 600 quid. And so he told me that if we went live, he can't afford to mention his name again this evening. So I'm going to give you the attacking players. And I'll give you the defensive. I say defensive, but it obviously involves anybody else. And primarily, the problem we may have, which people have sort of been saying in the chat, Skyliner, losing Taylor Matthew to injury be a nightmare. No one to cover that. You lose Matt Seaward to a suspension or injury, you've kind of got no holding midfield plan, Matt. So surely this window, that is going to be one area you're looking to target.
Well, Nunes will just play that role, freeing up the 10 to bring back who.
He can't resist it.
Still counts.
Yeah, I mean, to lose Matasiwa would be an issue for us. Would it be 1-2 games? For yellow cards, and then or an injury or something, that would be a real issue for us. I mean, we might come on to signings and stuff in a bit, so I'll keep my powder dry for that one. But yeah, no, I do totally agree with that. But that is the beauty of Nunes. He can play all of the roles in midfield. He's not supposed to be playing the 10, is it?
Not at once.
Yeah, although he probably could. He probably could. I mean, we talk about sticking plasters. He's doing that at the moment. He just happens to be the player that has the most form class technique in that role as we sit here right now. So, I mean, he's playing that at the moment, but I've no doubt he could go in and play the role he's actually meant to be brought in, which was alongside Matasiwa. Yeah.
And then, of course, the question is to the partner. Are you getting enough out of Jens Coast and Jack Taylor? Do you want more? And if so, how are you going to get more? Is it more out of those two players, perhaps a tactical tweak, or is it actually you're going to go and find a midfield player that's going to really complement Matasiwa?
Well, yeah, potentially. I mean, what have Cahuste and Taylor got as goals between them this season? 1.
Yeah.
I mean, that shouldn't really come as a surprise to anybody. One of the reasons why I was a little bit had reservations about Cahuste coming back, although he has looked much better in a more progressive role in a division below the Premier League, so maybe it was to be expected. But he doesn't offer a huge amount going forward. Like we say, we've done over half the season now. He's only got 1 goal. What did he get last season? 1 goal in the Premier League. And, you know, Taylor's had cameos here and there. Very good at passing into the final third. Hasn't really looked like scoring particularly. So, you know, in seasons gone by, you saw the midfield chipping him with goals. Morsey Luongo, they chipped him with goals, didn't they, in that championship campaign? Really good defensively, really good at getting forward at this level, less so in the Premier League, maybe to be expected. So you'd like to add that, but look, Matasiwa doesn't even shoot, does he? So you're not going to get anything from him. So if you've got your box-to-box midfield, you've got kind of reliant on that. Then you're reliant on Nunes as well, scoring. I mean, he's only ever scored 10 goals for Norwich anyway. What's he got this season? 2 free kicks in the header at Hull City? That's what I'm thinking. So he's probably performing goal-wise better than he has done in his career to date. But yeah, I mean, that's the big question. Like, who would come in? Who would come into that midfield role? Well, maybe we'll get to that.
Well, I might ask you that a little bit later on. But I guess the lack of goals and assists, George, brings us on to the more attacking players in that midfield department. Before I do, Martin Bell says, I believe if Humphrey's putting the team week in, week out, it'd be a massive asset. Beard says, if I remember the night out, no, I remember it, don't worry. Beard says Flynn Downs is our man. We may circle back to Flynn Downs when we come to sort of those we may view as a potential coming in or who we'd like. Higgy says, I'm hoping whoever found Matasiwa within the recruitment department has found someone similar standard that unknown to us. Obviously, Matasiwa was unknown to us before we brought him in. And that's what I always say when people say, all right, and you tell me who you want to replace so-and-so. Well, I'm not an agent. I'm not a director. I don't have the world's contact book in my phone. This time last year, if someone said to me, Azor Matasiwa, I'd like to go and really research it and because I wouldn't been aware of the player. Now, I can't believe I was never aware of the player. He's a fantastic midfield player. But that's us as fans. We're sort of blinking a little bit towards our own club. You get into it game after game after game, and you don't get chance a lot of times to breathe and look elsewhere. Paul says Chapman's time here has been and gone. Harsh to say, but it's true. And Aid says, and I want to sort of read this out. I think it's a fairly decent comment. So appreciate it, Aid. Thanks ever so much. Unfortunately, football is now a business, like it or not, fast-paced and constantly evolving. To remain competitive, there is absolutely no room for sentiment. Need to move on from Chaplin, etc. And obviously, a big bugbear of mine was Sentiment FC for a long time, is what I felt this football club was. I can no longer really say that, particularly as you lost your captain from back-to-back years. His midfield partner also went. So certainly, Sentiment FC is not something you can associate anymore, George. But Connor Chaplin is a name that keeps reoccurring, mostly from Matt's mouth, but it does keep reoccurring on the platform. He is one of our players still. And I guess, does the lack of goals and assists from Taylor and Kayush really sort of put pressure on that number 10 position? Nunez has 8 assists, I believe, this year. Really good return so far from him. But then you go past Nunez and you've got Smodics that is yet to score at Portman Road. Unbelievable statistic as it is. You've got Akpom, who we still have conversations that run rampant. Is he a striker? Is he a 10? Is he a 10? Is he a striker? And at this point of the season, I really would like to know that answer, or feel like we know that answer. So does it put pressure on the 10 position? Is it an area you're looking to improve? And if so, I'll say it for you, Matt. Are you bringing Connor Chaplin back to Ipswich Town Football Club?
No.
Love it.
Both of those things. No, it's not. It's not a position I'm looking to improve, because I think this is one of the positions that we're not seeing the potential out of the players that we've got. And
okay.
I'm just gonna say it. I'd love to see Egley in the 10.
Ooh.
I think I think we've got more than enough there and more than enough to play around with. I'm not sure Chaplin pulled up trees last year in the 10. I know it was trickier in the Premier League.
Yeah, be fair to him.
Has he? Okay, let me put it this way: has he pulled up trees at Portsmouth in the 10 this year?
That would be no.
So, if we're going hardline, no sentiment, then that's my simple take on it, I guess. I don't think anyone replaces Nunez in the 10 at the moment. Because why? Because he's probably our best performing player.
But we stumbled into that, George. That for me was never a part of the plan.
He stumbled into it. Like, he's doing phenomenally well at it. That's the same with good players that we've spent £17 million on stumbling into a left back role that they look particularly good at, or reverse of that, players that can't play right wing.
I don't want to put this into the universe, so I'm going to say it in opposites, right? What's the opposite of being match fit? Unfit. What's the opposite of being healthy? Injured, right? This is a player that Norwich fans kept telling us. Now, thankfully, touch wood, we haven't seen that, and I'm not putting that into the universe, because I don't want to put anything into the universe that may render him, not being available for selection, because I love watching him play football. But you're telling me we're not getting the potential out of that position? Okay, so you've got Nunez as that incumbent number 10. Fine, let's go along with that. So and you want to add a new name into that mix, which is fine. Again, I quite buy Egley as a number 10. I quite like that. But how are you going to unlock the potential of the players left in that position without sort of looking in the market and saying it's not really a potential thing, it's more of a quality thing?
In terms of Akpom and Smodics, do you think?
Yeah, Akpom, Smodics, whatever.
Well, I think Akpom's looked better in the brief times we've seen him in the 9. If I'm honest. Okay,
so that's one less option. So now you've got Nunez, Smodics, and you've added Egley in.
And Smodics is a more than decent backup as a 10. He's been really unlucky with injuries, and I think he is, for me, the default backup on a 10. I'd like to see Egley in the 10, but I don't think we need to do it. I just kind of would like to see it. But and if it came down to it and we had injuries, then I'd more than happily put him there, and I'd put him there ahead of Jack Clark, for example. I think So I think we're fine in the 10. That's my genuine opinion. I think because Nunez has stumbled into it and become our number 10, that means that we do, as Matt says, need to find someone to fill the role that we bought him in to do. I think that is one of the positions that I'd be absolutely looking to fill this window. But I wouldn't be bringing in a number 10 and putting Nunez back to where we bought him in to play, because that seems counterproductive to me at the moment.
I had to smile there while you were talking, George, because Colin just put the answer to obviously Nunez And that question I put a second ago in opposites, because I didn't want to put it out into the universe, his answer, Gov, he didn't want to play for Norwich City Football Club. Well, I thought was a decent answer, Colin.
If we're going back to Norwich, look, they've currently got like 48,000 injuries. So it's not necessarily the player that's at fault for his injury problems. Like it's all very well and good saying he's always injured. Well, so's half of their squad this season, particularly. So like, it's something that they're leveling at Napa and the higher ups. It's a bigger problem. It's not the players that are the problem. It's something else. So I don't think we can really. I'm not saying he's never going to get injured, but he hasn't shown any issues with.
Don't say it out loud. Don't say it out loud.
Right, I'm grabbing hold of wood. Don't worry.
Don't say it out loud. George has sort of solved this next question for you a little bit because he's moved Egley into the number 10 position. But my last question in the midfield department, Matt, is you've currently got 3 right wingers. You've got Wes Burns, and he's called him George Burns. You've got Wes Burns.
George Burns, yeah.
Casey McAteer. Do you know what? I've not had a name slip in a long time.
No, you've done well.
Probably since we signed Casey McAteer. Yeah, I've done all right. I've let myself down now. That long streak is gone.
Yeah,
you've got Casey McAteer, George Wes Burns, and Sintravali Egley. 3 right wingers, 1 position. Obviously, you can have 1 off the bench, have 2 off the bench if you like. But what are you doing in terms of that right wing? Are you going to send anyone out on loan, which you would struggle to because Casey McAteer's played for two sides. Sintravali Egley, you spent a record championship fee on, which would leave Wes Burns. What's your problem solving skills going to come up with here? Yeah,
I don't think anything's happened on the right hand side. You could bring back Benny from Sheffield United, where he's out in the cold there, literally. I don't think anything's happened on the right hand side. I just think it will carry on as you've seen. You've got all the goals on the left. Clark and Billie have got what 18 between them, something like that.
Yeah.
And the right hand side will continue. You've just added Wes Burns into the mix there. It'll be interesting.
Where's George Burns? Where's he playing?
People don't know. I think George Burns was an old Hollywood star, wasn't he? He lived till he was about.
I got no idea until 5 minutes ago. I got no idea it was even in my head.
I reckon you've seen some kind of Christmas movie, black and white, and it's just stuck in your head.
The funny thing is, for some reason, I'm thinking Lee Evans, and I don't know why.
Never think.
Yeah, I just think the right hand side options will remain as they are. You just add in Wes Burns into the mix as to whether or not he might start some games. We'll see. We'll see.
Insights in my mind there. Thinking Lee Evans, because we talk about central midfield players, but saying George Burns. Like, I'm not even saying Lee Burns. Like,
yeah.
Insights about how my mind just does not work there. Inappropriate beard. I love Egley, but to me, he's striking is not good enough to be a 10 yet. Mabby Smolix is a left 10, doesn't work with Jaden, playing as that space is being taken by Davis. Egley isn't being anyone on the inside, outside, or outsprinted past anybody. He's overrated. I think that's far too early to say that, Higgy, but I appreciate the comment coming in. Jason says McAteer is not showing his 12 million value, being shocking. Higgy, McAteer can't dribble, can't pass, can't shoot. Other than that, he's great. As I say, I think he's more of a defensive winger for me, Casey McAteer. A game like Coventry away, I know I don't believe he started that game, but if you wanted to,
didn't feature in that
if you
game.
wanted to go for a defensive player, out of your 3 options, although now Wes is back fit, and you could argue he can defensively really play strongly, then maybe not less so now. But I view him more as a defensive winger. So I know makes Mike D in our Discord laugh because I've invented a new position. But I'm sure you play Football Manager, that'll be down. I'm sure it will, or certainly in previous games it would be. All right, before we go any further, go on.
It's funny how people talk about Egley like being this consistent starter, 19 years age.
Just
much younger than Cameron Humphreys. And Cameron must be looking at that and thinking I could go off and have an impact somewhere else. He's 3-4 years older than him.
Yeah, look, that signing's that is one signing you look at, George, before we move on, and that's purely on what every metric upon the Mark Ashton dashboard says he could be, as opposed to what he is right now.
I think you can. I disagree about the overrated thing. I think it's too soon to tell. I agree with you. I think it's too soon to tell. But what Egley is raw. But he's still talented. Like and you can see that there's something in him. And I think he is going to be a phenomenally good footballer. And he's just 19. It's madness. And yes, he likes to shoot as much as he can and from wherever he can and all of the rest of it. And that doesn't always necessarily come off, but he will hit his straps at some point. And I'm not saying it'll be this year or anytime soon, but it's like, and the more time he can get playing in the first team, I think I've said before, I would just play him if he's fit, play him because he doesn't hurt. Like defensively, he needs to work a little bit on his efforts to run through people, but like and give away a lot of fouls. But I think he, needs to work on his game defensively. But I think he looks like a rare and raw talent to me. But I'm happy to eat my words in future episodes.
Here's one for you. Here's one for you, Martin. George Burns was an American comedian, actor, writer, and singer. Died when he was 100. Years active in show business, 1902 through to 1996. That's a hell of a career, isn't it?
Yeah, that is hell of a career. I'm still not aware of his work, but
he'll be on the right wing for us, George, on Saturday against Blackpool.
Hell of a career. But look, we're doing some sort of hot takes later in the show, but I've got 2 hot takes for you with Sandro Valiegli. I think his technical ability is really strong. He's going to be he will be in his football career a really amazing number 10. I agree with George who says play him there now, but I think throughout his career, he will find his most success in that number 10 position. And we are absolutely, as Town fans, going to love watching him develop in the exact same way we loved watching Amari Hutchinson develop. Will it end in tears and will it break our heart in the end? Well, we're Town fans, so sadly, probably so. But we're absolutely going to love the journey that we go on from the player we take last summer. Raw, all the potential, all the attributes, just this absolute raw ability, and just watch him be crafted into an amazing football player that when he leaves, you're going to really be upset. And I think you'll look back and you'll say, didn't take to it. And it'll be a player we talk about to our grandkids when they're saying, oh, we just signed so-and-so and he's no good. Well, let me tell you about a player we once signed. But we also thought had some potential. We weren't quite sure. He doesn't show much. He went on to be Sandro Valiegli. He played for Ipswich. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. All right, we're going to just move on now to attackers. Before we do, we are partnered with Match Bingo. We're partnered with them to give you a 100% deposit bonus when you use the word town, all in caps. The deposit minimum is £10, and while bonus cash can't be withdrawn, the winnings absolutely can be. So use the word town, all in caps, for that 100% deposit bonus. Terms and conditions apply. Please gamble responsibly. Over 18s only. Visit begambleaware.org for more information should you need to. Play Match Bingo. Play Match Bingo. Come on, Play Match Bingo. Win cash prizes. I'll just go with that one at the moment because I can't get the rest of my words out. To play, scan the QR code on screen or click the link in the description. All right, centre forwards, gentlemen, or lack thereof, whichever viewpoint you may have. Currently, we have got George Hurst, who is injured. However many weeks away, we don't know, but we do know he's perhaps closer than we thought when he first received the injury. You've got Chuba Akpom, started up front most recently, scored a goal. You've got Even Azon. Most Town fans would tell you, George, we desperately need to sign a striker. Are you one of those Town fans, or are you a Town fan that actually quite likes those 3 options and thinks would be okay if we didn't sign a striker?
Half of that, up to the second half of that last sentence. I really like those 3 options, but I think is desperate the right word? I think we definitely need to try and sign a really good striker in the mould that McKenna likes, the Delap mould. Let's call it that.
The next segment I'm going to bring into this one, Matt, it's called Fix It or Foul. Is that a position that you've got to fix or you foul? Or can you sort of gamble on it and say, do you know what? I'm kind of happy. If you're Kieran McKenna, Mark Ashton recruitment team, I'm happy. George has coming back earlier than we thought or planned or whatever. Those 3 options are going to get me through to finish in your world third place. Perhaps with the ball falling the right side of the post a couple of times when it shouldn't do. In a second, I'm quite happy keeping my powder dry, keeping the interest in the bank accumulating, ready for the return back to the Premier League where you go and attack it and really sign a centre forward that you perhaps want.
Yeah, it's a bit of a conundrum, that one, isn't it? Because it's those 3 options that have helped us get to what was second, now third in the table. But you're reliant on other players coming to the forefront, aren't you? Like a Philogene, a Clark, to step up and get those goals. Now, you talk about touching wood there, George, and injuries and everything. Something was to happen to Philogene, for example, then you've lost a real goal threat at home. Something was happened to Jack Clark, you've lost a goal threat away. Hurst, Akpom, and Evan haven't really been a goal threat. I mean, Adam Armstrong is the top scorer in the Championship of 11. Those three have only got 10 goals between them. Thomas Asante Commentary's got 10, been injured for ages. Those three combined are only level with him. So whilst it has been enough after 25 games, 24 games, whatever it is that we're on at the moment, into the second half of the season, has been enough for us to be contending with Commentary for top spot and trying to keep Borough out a second. I do feel like we probably need. I feel like we need something better in there. Those three are not the answer to try and win the title for me. Look what Coventry have got: Thomas Santi, Ellis Sims, Hadji Wright, all chipping in with goals. I know they've had a bit of a wobble since they played us, but that's why they've got the firepower, the 50+ goals. It's because they've got three really good strikers.
Yeah,
we've got average strikers, or they're playing averagely at the moment, or even below average. We need someone who can come in and hit the ground running. But as we always say, very difficult to find. People are saying in the comments how difficult that is.
Yeah. So to bring it full circle, and obviously time's now starting to get away from us, so I'm going to start cutting little segment ideas I had out and start bumping other ones up. But in terms of, to bring it full circle, George, that original question I posed in the intro, would Town pass up on what seemingly feels like a brilliant opportunity at promotion, being third in a season where most Town fans would say we've kind of been inconsistent with performances, the division is very much a muchness? Is it a great opportunity to really go and grab it and get yourself back in the Premier League? And would Town miss that up if they weren't to go and buy a striker or loan a striker within this window?
I think it's hard to answer that purely because of where we are. But again, I think we're in danger of messing it up or letting it slip if, heaven forbid, injuries more serious than the one that Hurst just had start happening. And that's more likely, statistically, I would imagine, as the season goes on than it is at the beginning of the season. And yeah, I think, because we're not seeing those guys reach their potential, either they do, which feels like a risk, or we buy someone, which is also a risk, because there's no guarantee that person is going to come in and score a hatful of goals. But I'd be amazed if we're not putting all of our eggs into a striker basket at the moment. From a signing perspective, I think there'll be other targets that we'll be after, and maybe we'll sign before a striker. But I would be amazed if we don't have a long list of players that we are just knocking on the door for.
Yeah, Colin says, get that superb striker and we are rocking and rolling. George says, end Azon's loan and get a proper striker in. Unfortunately, Azon just doesn't score goals, which is Roy, as Roy Keane would say, is his job. Maybe we definitely need a striker who can get familiar with our play ahead of the Premier League. Joe, sitting on the cusp of the Premier League seems to be the hardest place to be when making the correct signing for the future. Jason, I've always said it, but it's probably too old now. Armstrong from Southampton with the right service would score a few. Trevor, I don't see us splashing out on a striker, probably an under 21 from a Premier League club. I'm going to circle back to that, I think, Trevor.
We just said Armstrong's top scorer in the Championship of 11. I see George Carr, is it saying there about Kiefer Moore? Well, he's got 10 as well. He's got as many as our three together.
Yeah, Paul just below him says we are, or at least we're recently saw the table for big chance created, but missed. That's the problem right there. Finney, I'd try and get rid of Azon. Trying to get rid of Azon's loan, not good enough. Clearly, McKenna thinks that too, is we're now playing Akpom up top over him, albeit only one game, Finney. We needed more body of work before we can definitively say that. But our most recent team selection, you are right. And it could free up a loan as Finney. What's the Greek player up to, Gov? Obviously, Ioannidis Beard in the chat references there. Money on the table in the summer of the Premier League season. Money on the table. Sadly, it wasn't picked up and the signing wasn't delivered. So I soon stopped trying to hope for it in the January window of last year when it just didn't come off again, or we didn't even try and revive it again. But we will go to transfer targets now. And obviously within that, Trevor says, I don't see us splashing out on a striker, probably an under 21 from the Premier League. In that case, Matt, if it was an under 21 player, a lot of potential, but is it the potential we want right now? Or is it actual, proven, sort of almost peak or at sort of coming towards
Roughly.
the end of their peak? Like, you've already got Hurst as has got plenty of potential in Akpom. Do you need to add somebody else who's got potential? Surely you want somebody more seasoned, Matt.
Yeah, no, I agree that. You need to be leaning more towards the Kiefer Moore signing from a couple of years ago rather than the Al Hamidi one, because they both arrived together, didn't they?
Yeah.
McKenna's potential signings haven't all been that good, really, have they? Who was the lad we got in from Burton? Gassama had me.
Yeah, had me. Yeah, had me.
Yeah, that's one. Al Hamidi being another, really. Not really pulled up any trees at Luton. I don't think he's even playing for them at the moment. So yes, you have to lean on the side of the season strike, I think, but difficult to say who that's going to be.
Yeah, I think we kind of need to. If you look at past transfer windows, George, before I ask, I'll ask you, Matt. It's time is sort of slipping away in terms of a signing you definitely like, or a risky signing maybe the town should be looking at, but he may not fit the system, or a dream signing. Whichever one you want to cover. If you want to cover all three, fine. But George, before I do, if you look back at recent windows, can that sort of tell us anything where the club may look to land a target? I mean, you've got Nathan Broadhead, who in the League One campaign when he came in, that was proven ability, and that was ability at League One level where he'd come in and really hit the ground running and be at the level it was needed. Kiefer Moore when he came in. So do you think past windows, particularly January ones, can sort of teach us anything?
Maybe. I mean, I think I lean towards us being more likely trying to find somebody who's doing it somewhere already, rather than someone that's in an under-21s team. I think that kind of signing is a summer signing. It's an Azon type signing. Feels a little bit. Why would we send Azon back and risk just bringing someone else in that may or may not do the same thing? Like, he's more likely to build into the team, it feels like, than someone else who has to come in and learn it from scratch like he did in the summer. So my inclination is to think that someone will be after someone somewhere in the world, hopefully, that rather than necessarily just looking in our own backyard, that can come in and has a little bit about them. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if we try and splash out on someone to fill that role. I think the only thing that stands against us in that instance really is the likelihood of us going up, and whether we can convince someone to come while that is not a certainty. But someone will take a risk because we can sell the vision to people. We know we can, and
yes, we can.
And we've got previous in the last couple of seasons. So, I don't think it's as hard as it would have been the January before last, for example, which is before we'd even gone on our run. And I think it will be someone like that. It will be someone in the sort of Broadhead mold, I imagine, or someone that's on loan in the Championship at the moment who's doing well, and their parent club are willing to bring them back and sell them without naming names. Someone like, is it Gellert at Hull, who's doing really well and on loan from Leeds, and wouldn't surprise me at all if Leeds were willing to sell him, if they're willing to sell Pirro, and he's I know he's been mentioned, and he'd be an option as well. Like, scores hatfuls of goals in the Championship, is proven. Played one game this season. Yeah, like, probably an affordable-ish option.
And you're right, we can definitely sell the vision. We've proven that over previous windows, and now we can wholeheartedly, hand on heart, say we are developing a world-class training facility. You haven't got to say it in your welcome meeting and be tongue-in-cheek, as we've obviously been led to believe over the last 20 years, because every time someone's signed, it's been great facilities, world-class, leading, all that jazz. And
trying to get better.
No, it's not. But back to more serious matters. Obviously, I look at
cabins.
Yeah, exactly. I look at previous windows, and we've often spoken about it, Matt. And we looked at Mark Ashton's sort of recruitment drive at Bristol City, and we've spoken about the divisions he kind of goes back into, or has brought traditionally, or brought players from in the past. The French league being one, then obviously Matasiwa comes in. Is there a player perhaps on the continent that you could be looking at that town fans aren't aware of, as they were with Matasiwa at the time, or maybe West Brom? Is there a player at West Brom, or two players at West Brom that maybe, Ashton's old connections? Obviously, he's gone back in there. He's gone for furlong. I mean, we've got the West Brom back four, more or less. It's not hard to see the connection between where we, Ashton and West Brom, etc., etc. But I'll give you one of my dreamy moves. Never going to happen. We'll debate this with anybody until the lights go out on me, wired in light. Josh Sargent is arguably the best striker in the Championship, and that would be me. I'll debate you, George. It's not a problem, because he is, and arguably would be an absolutely amazing.
I'm not shaking my head at that. I'm shaking my head at that. The world would implode. Like,
I know it would.
Particularly my world. Like, my house would be on the front line of the fire when the
yeah.
Sorry, that's not why I've done it. There's a tiny reason why I've done it.
You'd be reuniting Sergeant with Nunes, wouldn't you? You'd reunite Nunes with Sergeant, George.
I would take Sergeant in a heartbeat, but it's just not going to
No, it's not. That's why it's called a dream move.
The dream move.
I really rate it.
40 million quid and they wouldn't take it. They wouldn't sell to us again now.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. I mean, he's been this year. He's been playing in a really poor Norwich team, really poor. 7 goals. You count how many goals our strikers, all 3 of them, have got.
Oh, 10.
He was also injured for longer than hers.
Yeah. Sometimes I have to turn a blind eye to some of my previous transfer window criteria of player being, with the injury record, but that's okay. I'll do that for Josh Sargent because I've been a fan of his since we started the platform. Matt will testify to that. But Matt, give me a more realistic or signing that you feel Town could be perhaps.
George just mentioned him, and he's mentioned in the comments there. Perot, I think, is very realistic, and the fact that he's been linked with Middlesbrough means Ipswich automatically have to go toe to toe with Borough to try and get him in. Because he's a goal machine. He was the top scorer in the Champ last season, wasn't he? With 19, scored a hatful for Swansea, which got him the 10 million move to Ellen Road in the first place. Dutch, so he can link up with Matasiwa. I think he scored. Didn't he get 4 goals against Stoke right at the end of last season? So he'd be perfect for us. Great in the box. I'm not sure he's got the greatest work rate in the world. I think he just plays the 9. He ain't going to drop deep like Kiefer Moore used to do and all that kind of stuff. I think he's just going to be your man in the box and doesn't take loads of touches and pretty clinical when he gets the ball. Something we're probably missing at the moment when we go through the shows and say, oh, Akpom should have scored there or Ivan should have scored that. Ditto George Hurst, really. So I think he would be the level. I think he would be the level above. Certainly is the number 9. And I think a realistic option back into midfield would be Flynn Downs for the reasons we didn't sign him in the first place. Southampton didn't want to sell him to us back in January. They didn't want to sell to a relegation rival. Well, they're not really promotion rivals at the moment, are they? 11 points behind us. So I think probably he would be a good option to come in as the Matasiwa cover. He hasn't played loads this season for Southampton. He's got a love-hate relationship as Football Martin from the Southampton pod holders. After Russell Martin had gone, didn't want to play for the club. Didn't think he got on very well with that Juric. Don't know what the relationship is like now. Seems to be back in the fold. So I think they're 2 realistic. I think they would be 2 realistic signings. Do you want me to go on to me risky one?
In a second, because I've got kind of more dreamy ones. Obviously, I like to spend my time looking at more dreamy scenarios.
You'll be head in the clouds, aren't you?
The very reason why I play the lottery, Matthew. The very reason why I play the lottery, because I've spent the money as I'm spending the £2 on my ticket. I've already spent the 21 million quid or however much it is that week. I'm already on a beach. I've already booked the tickets. I then got to phone them up and say, "Can I have a refund, please?" But give you 2 more names. Watford central midfield player was brilliant for them on the Tuesday night they came down here. Again, it's a dreamy move. It's never going to happen. But as a player, I'd be liking us to look at in the central midfield area. And this is an interesting one. It's never going to happen again. But change of manager, January window. Chelsea fans are looking at this player in the same way we're kind of looking, I believe, in Azon. When we've signed Azon with potential, when we perhaps need a striker for right now, and fans are looking at it going, oh, is he what we need? He's not good enough, etc. And I think Chelsea fans are looking at the lap in the same way. They've signed a player with lots of potential when they probably need a striker for right now. So they're looking at him in the same way we look at Azon. He's not hitting it. He's not doing well enough. We need better, etc., etc. So head in the clouds. New manager comes in, wants a centre forward. Where can I send Liam Delap to go out on loan and sort of get him back playing, confident, firing goals? I know. Where's Kieran McKenna's phone number, Matt? Talk to me. Please tell me that can be a realistic option, not a dream of mine.
Well, that is an option, but who's his manager going to be? He's probably going to be Rosenior, who obviously had him at Hull anyway. So he's probably going to keep him around the place.
He'd play him as a right winger, won't he?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly that. I mean, that's a funny one, isn't it? McKenna's a much better manager than him, I think. It just happened circumstances propelled him further up.
Yeah.
But when he took the option to go to Strasbourg, didn't he? It's done him a world of good.
Would you take him back, George, Delap? Because Mark says here wouldn't have Delap back personally.
Oh yeah, I'd have him back in a heartbeat.
Why would you not have Delap back?
Knows the system and knows everything. I wouldn't send him to us if I was Chelsea. I'd be sending him to a Premier League team like West Ham or somewhere and trying to get
yeah, probably.
He went playing well and scoring goals, George. Come on. West Ham have just been beaten 3-0 by Wolves.
Yeah,
Wolves were the worst Premier League team. And then West Ham now said, don't worry, hold our beer, we'll take that crown.
Yeah.
But he can do it in the Championship, and I don't think there's any denying that he can. I think I'd want him to prove that he can do it in the Premier League and send him again and send him somewhere to do that. But I mean, I think, like you say, I think it's pie in the sky stuff. But yeah, of course I'd take him back. Yep.
Look how good he was in the Premier League. Well, he would do that tenfold. I mean, look at Goose in the Championship. You know, you're seeing all the attributes from him in the league below. Imagine what Delap would do. I still think Delap's got eyes on going to the World Cup. I know Tuchel's really a big fan of his, but like you say, Martin, no, the Chelsea fans are not really sold on him, are they? This is the issue.
But, and I think for the very same reasons us Town fans are looking at even Azon, you know, it's completely worlds apart in the sense of where we are in the footballing pyramid, but very much as football fans, you look at it, they want a striker for right now. He's a development, you know, in terms of getting to that world-class level. And we want a striker for right now. And we've brought in Azon, who we're also thinking potentially is there, but we need a right now. All right, I'm going to put a poll in the chat. On the request of Metal Chase, would you take Delap back if you had the chance? Yes or no? It's very simple. It's coming in 5 seconds. While I do, Matt, tell George a risky one or two. Very quickly, because time is fast evading us, as it always does here on Talking Town. Go for it.
My risky signing is one of my favourites, Latte Laff, formerly at Middlesbrough, now at Atlanta United. Risky by the fact that he left Borough to go to Atlanta for an MLS record of $22 million, George, which is what, 16 million here? They would want their money back, wouldn't they? That'd be a huge risk for Town to put, as you said earlier, all their eggs in one basket, the striker basket. You'd have to go all in on that. And that would be risky because he was very good for Borough. Been hit and miss, I think, with Atlanta, 30-odd appearances, handful of goals there. But look, proper number 9, pacey, good in the air, and did score a lot of goals for Borough. So I think he'd be a really good signing. But you'd have, if you're going to spend that money to get promoted, he would have to be probably one of your lead strikers going into the Premier League. Again, uncharted waters for him. But, you know, he's been a bit of a nomad, hasn't he? I mean, he played for St. Gallen, Atalanta in Italy. Now he's at Atlanta, Middlesbrough. So he's been around a little bit. You have to think, you know, he wouldn't be adverse to maybe hitting the ground running for Town, given he's been to so many countries and played, but risky because he would have to be your striker, I think, for that money going into the Premier League.
But we know McKenna and Ashton like him, so
they liked it, didn't they?
Yeah, so
revisiting an old.
I hadn't thought about him, and I hadn't thought about him since he went to America. And I think that's the issue with going over there. But I think, it's a decent shout whether they'd sell him or not, and whether we'd be willing to pay more than we wanted to last time for him.
Well, obviously, I know you watch all the content, George, but for those that perhaps don't, and perhaps you're forgetting here, if there's one person Matt Phillips says on the same level of times as Connor Chaplin, it is Latte Laff. So as he said the name, that's why I was sort of laughing as I was putting the poll into the chat, because I just thought I should have guessed that was coming. I should have guessed we've made it through at least about a month where he hasn't mentioned Latte Laff. So yeah,
Oscar's mentioned Shankland there, another one of my old favourites. But I mean, look, Hearts are trying to win the Premier League at the moment with misfiring Celtic and Rangers, so I don't think he would leave. But he's a good striker as well.
You may not know the answer to the question, but where did the young central midfield player go that we were kind of linked with, but weren't? I want to say someone like Riley. Was it Riley? I want to say. If I say the name, it's going to be completely wrong, so I'm not even going to try and guess, right? Because
this is very difficult to answer this one.
I've already called Wes Burns, who I've watched for the last 5 years. George Burns.
We've got links with Jordan. Put that in my mind. Jordan James, who went out to France, didn't he? And back
it was from Scotland. It was a Scottish midfield plaer, young midfield player.
No, I don't know.
If I said Leonard, Riley Leonard,
no.
Is that no?
Someone might know.
Me and names aren't great, but I know there's a young midfield player because I did a YouTube video on it, so I know there was. I know there was.
It was that memorable. You've forgotten already.
We like to go sort of double take, if you like. You know, we don't like going in once and then saying, okay, no problem. We'll not come back again. We like to come back again and again.
My dream signing is in midfield. Nice segue in. That would be Hackney. But again, for the very reasons we didn't sign Downs in the Premier League, I can't see Borough selling to a promotion rival when you're both competing behind Coventry for that. But that's who they wanted, really, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's South American chap. I've forgotten his name.
Yeah, Ruiz. Was it Ruiz?
Yeah.
Was it Ruiz? I think.
I'm going to try.
Yeah, Mexican, wasn't he? Mexican, wasn't he? Ruiz.
I can rule out. By the way, I can definitely rule out it was wasn't Riley Leonard. I know why that name's in my head. He is the Colts quarterback from yesterday. Do you know what I was?
That's the 40-year-old, isn't it? The 42-year-old.
No, that's Philip Rivers. Philip Rivers.
Yeah.
But since they were eliminated from the playoffs, and I'm not even a Colts fan, but I obviously watch a lot of NFL football. And
this could be a long show if Martin's trying to remember this player.
I will get there. Let me tell you. It may not be this show, maybe the next one, may not even be this year. But trust me, just like Mark Ashton, eventually I will get my man.
Well, I mean, Jason's made a good point here. We said this, didn't we, last week? How about Lancashire at Oxford?
Yeah.
That's a great goal he scored against us, and got pedigree. Spurs. I think he's played for Spurs and Spurs and Oxford already this season. So rule him out coming to us, but someone with that prowess in the box would be decent. I think. I mean, he's only 20 or something.
Yeah.
Boom. Shy Shark coming in clutch. Lennon Miller. That was the name.
I'm still none the wiser. Who's he playing for?
I couldn't tell you right now. I know we were. I believe we were sort of linked. We might have been newspaper talk at the time. Is it Udinese? I think he may have gone.
Oh right.
In the end.
Is that what Evan Ferguson is?
Evan Ferguson went to Roma.
Right. How's he get on?
Is he Riley Leonard?
There's the striker.
Right. That's when my brain has sort of got itself a little bit confused. Motherwell, Shy Shark, man. Yes, Shy Shark. Look at that.
Got to be a Scottish football fan, the Shy Shark. Got me.
Yeah. Coming in clutch. Thank you very much, Shy Shark. You haven't saved my embarrassment, but I'd never had embarrassment to save because I've done it
Lennon
weekly.
Miller. There we go. Lennon Miller was at Motherwell. He's right, but it was signed for Udinese for £5 million last August.
How many games he played?
Oh,
If you're not saying many, it's moving up the Ashton dashboard.
6 in Serie A, 2 in Coppa Italia. 8 in total. 6 in the league.
So he ain't played many games.
No.
That puts you towards the top of the list in terms of the Ashton dashboard, right?
He's coming in next week.
Yeah. Who may have looked at that isn't playing regular games, and then the dashboard starts to sort of fire off that siren your alarm clock makes at 6 a.m. on a Monday, the first one back of the year, and you're like, oh my day, what does that sound? That's it. All right, we're going to round it up now. All right, don't forget we are partners with Stowmarket Osteopaths, quality care in Stowmarket since 1985. Osteopath and physiotherapy services. Call 01449 613 633. That's 01449 613 633. I go there myself, and Freddie's the governor there. Give him a call. Tell him I've sent you. As long as it's all positives. If it's negatives, don't tell him I've sent you. Right. I was going to make a joke there about the Lee O'Neill dashboard being as old as the 1985, and then I got myself confused. Still had Riley Leonard in my mind, and it just went terribly wrong. That's why I paused halfway through the read. Right.
George Burns,
yeah. Okay, let's go on to the final part of the evening. Hot takes. You've already had my hot take. I just want one sentence, no explaining, as we end the show. Like and subscribe. Take care. God bless. That's my part done. I'm going to give you both one instance, give you one sentence, one hot take, and then we're going to end the show with my lovely face saying, here to subscribe and here for more content. I'll start with you, Matt. Hot take, one sentence, go.
Hot take is that someone not currently wearing an Ipswich shirt is going to play a very...
That's not a hot take.
In our promotion season.
That's not a hot take. That's not a hot take. Try again. I want hotter.
What? How much hotter can you get? Someone not currently wearing a Town shirt is going to play a pivotal part in our promotion season.
Like Doritos chili heat wave. All right, I want heat. Bring me heat.
Well, George, I have to default to you. What's your hot take?
Look at that. Look,
I'm not sure there's any more exciting than that, but because I was struggling for one as well. But I wrote down, it's as important that Ipswich figure out a way to improve the atmosphere at Portman Road as it is for us to sign a decent player this January.
That's musing there, George.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
I don't think that necessarily comes from a striker, but yeah.
My hot take is you're going to get splinters sat on that fence. That's my hot take.
What? It's such a hot take. Someone you don't even know, not in our kind of sphere of thinking, is going to play a I can't even say it now. Everyone took part in the promotion push.
In the January window, that's hardly Mystic Meg stuff, is it? Like, that's
Oh,
hardly
no.
what I'm thinking of when I said hot take. Give me one example. You know,
Connor Chaplin will come
you
back
won't
and
be
score
getting a
the
phone
winning
call from a
goal.
newspaper
Connor
asking for your
Chaplin will come.
horoscope predictions. Like,
Connor Chaplin comes back and scores the winning goal on the last day of the season against QPR to
Here
secure
we
the iconic championship trophy at Portman Road. There you go, Colin. It's on for you there.
Shocking. George, the chat are loving you, by the way. Spot on, George says shabby. Gary says we were very flat last week. Colin says, agreed, George. We're lots of people agreeing with you. The last thing I want to say to you this evening is in terms of the question, Delap, back if you could, yes or no. The Talking Town community, they've voted. They have voted in their tens.
Single figures.
It is a resounding victory. 82%. So I'm off on the phone to give not Mark Ashton a call because I haven't got his phone number. But if I did, I'd be phoning him on your behalf. Yes, you 10 people, your behalf, to say we want him back. No, a lot more voted. I'm being tongue in cheek. But yes, a resounding yes from the Talking Town community. We'll see.
82% was it?
82%.
What did the 18% see from last season and they didn't like to bring him back?
They may have misclicked, right? You get those surveys online, don't you? Where you go to click one and it takes you through something, you can't do it, you can't undo it. It's not one of those things, right? But listen, a resounding yes. I'll take it. We'll move on. We're back again midweek for our Blackpool match preview. But for now, this has been your squad audit and transfer look. George, thank you so much. Matt, thank you. And I've said my bit already. So, hello. You've reached the end. Thank you so much for watching. Hit here to subscribe. It's totally free. And hit here for more Talking Town videos. I'll see you on the next one.